Hi, and welcome to our kids service. We're so excited for you to see everything we have for you. But before we do that, we need you to stand up, make some room, because we're gonna jump into some worship.
Those cars are so fast, you guys. I'm so glad that you are all here because it's time to get back on the road. This month, we're talking about being driven, and not just when it comes to cars. We're focusing on what's on the inside because that's what matters most. When we follow Jesus, we are driven to live lives of integrity. Integrity is choosing to be truthful in what you say and do. God can help us be truthful on the inside so that we'll live truthfully on the outside. Then we'll be driven to be who God made us to be, inside and out. Before we get into our Bible story today, let's start with our big answer. What is the big answer? It's the answer to the big question. This is a question that you should get from that important adult in your life, and that is, what did you learn in kids' church today? And our big answer for today is, when you do what's right, others can see God. And our memory verse for this series comes from the book of Proverbs, and it says, anyone who lives without blame walks safely, but anyone who takes a crooked path will get caught. Proverbs 10:9. We're back in the book of Daniel this week. When we take a look at God's big story, we can see how God had a plan to bless the whole world through one family, the Israelites. But the Israelite people kept turning away from God. Eventually, God's people were conquered by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar chose several young Israelite men to serve in his court. God blessed 4 of these men, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, with health, knowledge, and wisdom. Eventually, the king put Daniel in charge of a big part of the kingdom and appointed his 3 friends to help. Soon after King Nebuchadnezzar put Daniel in charge of Babylon and appointed his friends to help, the king made a huge gold statue. That's a big statue. When the statue was complete, the king sent for the highest officials of Babylon to come and celebrate the statue. Daniel wasn't there, though. Maybe he was traveling? But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were among the guests. Once everyone was assembled, a messenger called out, "Listen, you people who come from every nation, here's what the king commands you to do. You will soon hear the sound of horns and flutes. You will hear lyres, harps, and pipes. In fact, you'll hear all kinds of music. When you do, you must fall down and worship the gold statue. That is what the king Nebuchadnezzar has set up. If you don't, you'll be thrown into a blazing furnace right away." That's in Daniel 3, verses 4 through 6. Everyone heard all the instruments and they knew it was time to bow down to the king's statue. Well, actually, not everybody bowed down. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stayed standing. They knew it wasn't right to worship anyone or anything except the one true God. Some of the king's officials saw this, and they spoke up against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When they went before the king and told him that these 3 men hadn't followed the king's orders to bow down and worship the statue, King Nebuchadnezzar was furious. He sent for them, and the king asked the men if it was true that they refused to bow down to his statue. He gave them one more chance to bow down when they heard the instruments play. But there was no way that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would do that. Listen to what they told the king in Daniel chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. "King Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to talk about this anymore. We might be thrown into the blazing furnace, but the God we serve is able to bring us out of it alive. He will save us from your power, but we want you to know this, your majesty. Even if we knew that our God wouldn't save us, we still wouldn't serve your gods. We wouldn't worship the gold statue you set up." King Nebuchadnezzar became so angry that he ordered the furnace to be made 7 times hotter than usual. Then the king's strongest soldiers tied up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and threw them into the blazing hot furnace. Whew, that's warm. But what happened next was truly amazing. The king looked into the furnace. In Daniel 3:24, it says, "He leapt to his feet and asked his advisors, 'Didn't we throw 3 men into the fire?' The advisors said, 'Yes, they did.' Then in Daniel 3:25, the king said, 'Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire. They aren't tied up, and the fire hasn't even harmed them. The 4th man looks like a son of the gods.'" Whoa. The king then told Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to come out, and they were totally unharmed. King Nebuchadnezzar said, "May the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be praised. He has sent his angel and saved his servants. They trusted in him. They refused to obey my command. They were willing to give up their lives. They would rather die than serve or worship any god except their own God. No other God can save people this way." Then he ordered that no one should ever speak against the God of Israel again. King Nebuchadnezzar honored Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He increased their rank and gave them even higher positions in the city of Babylon and the towns around it. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had the integrity to do what they knew was right. They risked their lives because they knew they shouldn't follow the king's order to worship a statue. They knew that they should only worship God. And other people noticed. God saved Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego from the fiery furnace. And because of what these 3 men did, the king saw who God really is. And he, in turn, shared that with his whole kingdom. When we choose to do what's right, others can see God at work. And we have the very best example of what's right when we think about Jesus. When we try to live like Jesus, our choices and actions can show God's love to others even better than our words. Jesus lived with integrity, even when it cost him something, his very life. Every single day, we encounter situations where we need to make the wise choice. We might stand up for someone who's being picked on. We might ask our elderly neighbor if she needs help with her yard or bringing in groceries. We might refuse to join in when other people are making fun of a teacher. You see, our integrity can have a big influence on others. Just like our big answer says, when you do what's right, others can see God. All right, guys, I see the cars coming around, and I have the job of waving the checkered flag today, but it's heavy, so I'm gotta grab it quick. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't know how people do this. Oh, here they come. Oh, good job, guys. Good race. Bye, guys.
It's time for Memory Verse Breakdown!
Hey kids, today we're gonna break down this week's memory verse. Are you ready? Okay, here's this week's memory verse. You think you got it? Try saying it out loud. All right, let's take some words away. You think you still got it? Try saying it out loud again. All right, let's bring those words back and see how you did. Did you get it right? Awesome. Well, that's this week's memory verse breakdown. How'd you do?
Memory Verse Breakdown!
Does it have the power? See if you can tell which items have the power to perform different tasks. Stand up if you think that this paper towel has the power to hold a brick. Sit down if you think it does not. Power. Stand up if you think that this string has the power to hold this weight. Sit down if you don't think so. Fail. Stand up if you think this hammer can crush this rock. Sit down if you don't think it can. Fail. Does this squirt gun have the power to knock this box over? Stand up if you think so. Sit down if you think not. Power. for playing. Does it have the power?
Thank you so much for being with us today. Before you leave, have that important adult in your life go to lifechurchgreenbay.com/kids, where you can grab our Kids Connect card. There you can discuss our big answer, the memory verse, and even more. We love you so much. Have a great week.